Hey guys, welcome. I hope you're having a good morning. Dr. Val here. We are here for a coffee chat. I have my bulletproof coffee, so I hope you have a drink and can sit down, and we're going to chat real quick today. And I'm excited because today I'm going to share my number one, if I had one thing to tell people, work on this one thing. This is my number one tip to people that will make a huge impact on your health. And I'm not saying it's the most important because there's a bunch of things that all fit together that you kind of have to do simultaneously. This and this and this and this, and it all works together to really heal your body and your cells. I mean, detox is important. Healing your gut is important. Fermented foods and drinks is important. I mean, there's a lot of pieces to it. But I think out of all the things that I have seen in clinics and seen other practitioners do as well, is this thing is the hardest for people to actually implement on a day-to-day basis. There's far more questions around this. There's far more, oh my word, this is so overwhelming. Okay? So here's my number one tip, and it sounds like two things, but it's actually one. And that is no wheat, no sugar. I talked before about wheat. As your body sees it, wheat is essentially sugar. Wheat equals sugar. If you missed it, go back and listen to my review on the book called Wheat Belly by Dr. William Davis for a clue as to what I'm talking about. Why is wheat specifically so bad? There's a lot of things that go with wheat that make it very bad. But wheat and sugar, as far as your body sees it, is almost identical. Wheat, when you put it in your mouth, your saliva starts breaking it down and your blood sugar starts going up within 5 minutes. So from your body's perspective, wheat and sugar, very similar from what it does to your blood sugar. So I lump those in. And by sugar, I'm going to define that as white, processed, cane sugar, even the beetroot sugar, anything that is white and looks like powdery grains, that has been highly, highly processed. So most foods, most sauces, most condiments have sugar in them. Now, do I do no sugar? No. I try to drastically limit my sugar to things that do happen to be in sauces and condiments that, well, I have my own recipe and sometimes I make like my own ketchup, for example. But I do buy and stock other things in my refrigerator that have sugar in it. Most of the things that I'm cooking or foods where I can add stuff to it, then I have the choice of what I put in it. And I'll tell you about the sugar substitutes. Sorry about that. Live under an airport. The sugar things that the sweetener that I use, multiple sweeteners, but try to be conscious about the sugar content that you have and read labels as to what exactly is in it. In a good, better, best scale, artificial sweeteners, aspartame, all of those nasty things, in my opinion, are worse for you than straight sugar. So, honestly, there are some products that if I'm comparing labels in the store and one is sweetened with aspartame and the other has cane sugar, where it says sugar in it, I will take the one with sugar. There's a good, better, best. And I would say the artificial sweeteners, absolutely stay away from those. Sugar, at least, it's not good for me, but my body knows what to do with it. And then there's some much better options. But in terms of those, if you have to read labels and choose, then just start being aware of what sweeteners are out there. If you can't pronounce it, stay away from it. That's just a good rule of thumb. If you turn your food package over and you cannot pronounce half of what's in it, is there a healthier option out there? So what does this look like? Because the wheat in particular, so much of our food on a day-to-day basis, and therefore so much of our social interaction, revolve around food that has wheat in it. That is a huge thing for people to start changing in their life. And this is what I have seen, is that honestly takes the most amount of work and the most amount of determination for people who start making this process. So that is why I tell people, start working on this first, because it's not going to happen overnight. It did not happen overnight for me. I had family members who had some celiac issues in the family, and so when I started cooking for them, I had to start reading labels, and I learned things I'd never even thought of before. And that really opened my eyes to being really careful about the things that I put in my food, even when I was making it myself. So that was a process. That was the beginning process of me to start to question this. And then several years down the road, I chose to go grain-free, which is the biggest proponent of that, or the biggest component is wheat. And that's been over a year and a half ago that I did that. But it was a process for me before I took that step. And I didn't have any specific health issues that I was trying to chase down. But I'm very much about preventative medicine, or I don't even want to call it that, but the preventative steps that you can take in your health. I'm not going to sit around and wait to get sick. I'm not going to sit and wait for arthritis to kick in. I don't want to sit and wait for high blood pressure. No, when the things that you give your body now is it's determining the rest of your life and the quality of life that you have. And so even if you don't have health issues, I encourage people to do no wheat. I say no grain, that is a bigger picture, encompasses some more things like rice and oats. And there's some specific reasons for that. They do have a lower component of gluten. It's not a wheat gluten, but gluten, there's a huge family of proteins that are glutens. And so some people will cross-react, if you will, where they'll be more sensitive to that. Other people, it's not a problem. But from the inflammatory aspect, it can kick up some issues, just like wheat does. So what does this look like practically? Okay, that's what I want to talk about today. Is okay. What does that mean in my house, in my family, when I cook, when I eat out? What does that look like? So I'm going to share just a couple things today. First of all, if you cook, that is the best option. If you do a lot of cooking, or even like me, a medium amount of cooking, that you have more control over what goes in your food. You have the ability to tweak the amounts. You have the ability to substitute out things, rather than buying pre-prepared sauces or pre-prepared X, Y, or Z. And granted, I do a lot of freezer meals and pull stuff out of the freezer, but the more you can cook, the more that's in your control, and the easier these changes become. So first of all, if you cook, my encouragement is to look at your recipes and say, okay, are there things on here that I could substitute out, or is this whole recipe just going to have to go to the side? I'm going to have to find a new recipe for this family favorite, whatever. So you have to, and that takes time to go through your recipes. A great book that I highly, highly recommend is called Against All Grain by Danielle Walker. She has 3 books out right now. She's working on her 4th. They are all, and they say right here, paleo. If you have not heard that term, paleo means that they are recipes that use no grain and no processed sugars. And part of paleo is also no potatoes, no corn, is kind of most things will say that as well. So you can look online for paleo recipes, but her cookbook specifically the recipes are fabulous. Like everything I've tried has been great. Freezer meals, okay? There is a brand even that is called Paleo, and my Walmart has started carrying this. They have 3 different kinds of meat. This is grilled chicken breast. It says right on the top, grain-free, gluten-free, milk-free. The grain is the important part. Grain encompasses the gluten and the wheat. So that's something. But what I would encourage you, it's really hard to walk down the freezer aisle and find anything that doesn't have pasta in it. It's hard. So it can be done, but you have to read labels. Read labels on everything. The frozen vegetables, steamable things, or anything that has a sauce, flip it over and read the label. You will find wheat in things that you never would have expected. So just start being aware. Start reading labels. That's another thing to watch out for is soy sauce. Soy sauce, even though it doesn't state gluten in it, it is made with a process where there is gluten residue in it. So that is why you will see gluten-free soy sauce right next to the regular soy sauce. So any of the Asian dishes, prepared meals, have soy sauce in them. That's essentially wheat, even though it's not listed as an ingredient. So that's one of those hidden sources of wheat to watch out for. If you eat out, here's some quick tips. Sauces, dressings, get them on the side. You can at least then control what goes in it, and just try to avoid sauces in general. You can always get grilled chicken or steak, and you want to ask about the seasoning, what's in it, is there wheat in it, but most of the time grilled chicken is pretty safe. Most restaurants will do steamed vegetables. If it's not on their menu, you can ask, can I get steamed vegetables? Because with a lot of meals, they'll serve a starch and a vegetable. You can double up on the veggies, like I want 2 servings of steamed broccoli or steamed veggies or the zucchini or whatever. You can always substitute a side for a salad. Sometimes it might cost you more. But you know, go vegetarian if you are eating out and you really, really want to be careful. Make sure you ask for no croutons if that's in there, and then be careful on the dressings. But there are ways where you can be pretty safe. You don't have to eat salad every time you eat out. And, oh yeah, nothing fried. If it's fried, it has been battered. If it's battered, it was battered in flour. That's pretty much, I mean, that's across the board. Fast food, chicken nuggets, whatever it is, if it was battered in flour. So you want to stay away from that. And if you know where you're going to eat out, look up their menu ahead of time. A lot of places will put all the nutritional value and the ingredients of their menu items online. So that's great. For example, my family went to Rosa's. We haven't been to Rosa's in a long time. And so I got online, looked it up. Turns out their fajita meat, just the fajita meat, has no flour, and it's not made where there might be cross-contamination of flour. So I was able to look that up, and I got a side of fajita meat, 2 sides of fajita meat, and that was my, that was essentially my meal there. They state right in their menu that a lot of their corn products, even their corn tortillas that they fry or things that they fry themselves that are corn, they say we fry them in oil where we also are frying flour products, so there's possibility of cross-contamination. So if you're trying to be meticulous about wheat, you have to be aware of things like that. Anywhere in a restaurant, 1 vat of oil will often fry multiple things. The French fries and the fried chicken and the corn, whatever, are all fried. So you just have to start being aware of your food surroundings. So those are some really quick and easy things to make you think about that I hope is eye-opening. It wasn't until I started reading labels where I started seeing, oh, what? There's wheat in here? Barbecue sauce. There's another one. The family member would say, well, there's one kind of barbecue sauce that I really like, and it's gluten-free. And I went, what? There's wheat in barbecue sauce? Those are the kind of things that, unless you actually think about it, unless you turn over that bottle of ketchup or mustard or whatever it is, if you can't make your own, then you have to be the investigator as to what is going to go in your body. And you have to be the one to say, does this have wheat in it? And I'm choosing not to do that. I need a better replacement. So this is a long process, okay? Going wheat-free and sugar-free is a long process of changing over things in your pantry, of getting new family favorite recipes, of giving up old family recipes, of not eating the same thing at the restaurant all the time. Those are all massive life changes when you're doing this, and so it is a process. But you have to have some help and support and motivation along the way, and that's why I'm here, and that's what I hope this will do. And I'm excited to say that my website's almost up, and that website is going to have handouts, practical things. Put this on your fridge because here's a list of things. Lots of things like that to make that step, that journey, easier for you, because it is hard. I mean, I'll just admit, I've been doing this now over 1.5 years, and the temptation is still there to want to grab something off the shelf that I'm like, oh, I used to eat those all the time. And it's hard, and I'm the only one in my family who is doing this, so I cook things for my son and my husband that I won't eat myself. And so the cooking in a sort of divided family like that, that's hard. And I've walked through that. I understand how challenging that is. How do you get your kid to eat something like this when they want this and you know it's not good for them? So those are all steps that we can help each other with, and I want to help motivate people to do. So that is my #1 tip, that people can start walking out today. And I'm not saying it's easy, but take it one day at a time. So I'm going to be coming back with more tips. I'm trying to boil down all these things into about 5 or 6 things, but this is my #1 thing. I think if anybody can start walking these principles, you're going to start seeing health benefits in a lot of ways. Weight loss, decreased inflammation in your body, better sleep, all kinds of things. It's different for each person where that shows up. But I hope this is helpful, and we will see you again next week, same time, and have a blessed day. Bye.